Hey everybody, welcome back to Morning Calm Studios channel here on YouTube. Really do appreciate y'all tuning in. If you get a chance, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, like the video, set that notification. Just really do enjoy building these videos for you guys, helping you learn some of the basics that are out there, reinforcing some things that you may have already learned, learning some new things. Today we're going to continue on with our series here. We've already done a couple things to these channels. Today we are going to look at how to go to the next level, which is going to be adding in some reverb, creating an auxiliary or a bus send to do all that. So thank you so much for tuning in. All right, so today we are talking about how to apply effects to the track in a couple of different ways. Today we are going to use reverb as the example. Reverb is a great way to create some additional space in our recordings, make it sound like we recorded somewhere else that we didn't, but you can make it sound super realistic. Couple ways to do that. First thing I want to go over though before we totally get into that is some of the things that I've already done to the track. So started with an EQ, felt it was a little bit sibilant, so let's take a listen.
Kandahar Province, southern Afghanistan, the birthplace of the Taliban. It's 54,000 square kilometers of brutal insurgency.
All right, so already sounds great. Had to apply a couple little quick things to it to make it sound really good, but just a little bit of light EQ, making sure that I was gain staged as well. So when you turn the EQ on and off, don't hear a difference. The second thing that I did was I went ahead and added in a little bit of compression as well. So as you can see,
Kandahar Province,
it's firing in a pretty good spot.
The birthplace of the Taliban.
Especially right there, I felt like going to -10 was probably the smoothest way to do it. So I've got that all added in as well. So it looks like we are ready to start adding some other effects to the track. So in this case, we're going to do a little bit of reverb. First thing we want to do is where do we add that? So same place we added the EQ and the compressor. We just click that tab there, pull it on down. It gives us a couple choices for reverb. In this case, I'm going to play around with some Space Designer. So we have a mono track going. So let's apply a little bit and hear how it sounds.
Kandahar Province, southern Afghanistan, the birthplace of the Taliban.
All right, way too much. So what we want to do is we want to focus on this little section right here. We got a dry and a wet. Dry is the original signal, wet is the reverb. What I want to do is I want to retain the dry signal and I want to bring this wet down a little bit. So probably about -30 would be a good spot.
Kandahar Province, southern Afghanistan, the birthplace of the Taliban.
Now, it's a little bit big for a reverb. Let's listen again. I'm going to do a little A-B trick that we do here to see how long that tail really is.
Kandahar Province, southern Afghanistan. Kandahar Province, southern Afghanistan.
So you can hear it's got a little bit of a decay on it, or that tail on there. Let's try a different reverb. So we go up here to factory default, go ahead and click that little triangle right there, bring it down. Let's focus on some small spaces. So like in rooms these days, so let's find something decent. Maybe realistic room would work.
Kandahar Province, southern Afghanistan.
So a little bit too much. So let's go bring it back down here around that -30 range and take a listen.
Kandahar Province, southern Afghanistan, the birthplace of the Taliban.
Like that one. So it sounds like you're kind of in another space, but it's not overwhelming. It sounds very natural. So now there's some other stuff we can do. We can add some more EQing just to that. But in this case, I think it sounds great. Obviously, if you're playing with other instruments and things, you're going to dial it in, make other choices. But at this point, since we're just dealing with the single track, I really like it.
Kandahar Province, southern Afghanistan, the birthplace of the Taliban.
All right. So for a lot of folks, it would be a one and done, but for me, I think there's a better way to do it. Maybe I'm planning on adding in some music. Maybe I've got some other tracks I'm going to mix in down the road. Maybe I've got some other people who are doing voiceovers, want to use the same reverb, think it sounds good, make us all sound like we're kind of in the same room together. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and create a bus, and I'm going to link it to that and link the channel into it. So first thing I want to start with is I'm going to create a subgroup that's for all of their narration. So first thing I want to do is like hit this button here, output, see how it's linking directly right into the stereo out. I want to put something in between it and make a subgroup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this track right down here, go to bus, see where I have like a lead vocal sub. Let's go ahead and use that one. We're going to rename it Narration Vocals, Narration Vox. So I'm now linked into Narration Vox as my subgroup. Now, this one is linked to stereo out, but still need to apply a reverb and want it to link to everything in that group. So I go to this little tab right here that says Sends. Click on that little disclosure, go down to bus and say, all right, I've got a Vox Verb A channel already assigned here. This is part of my template system. I go ahead and click on that. Bam, created another track. This one, though, I want to link into this same vocal bus. So I drop that down, head it up. There it is, Narration Vox, already assigned and labeled. Boom, Logic is so smart. Maybe that's why it's called Logic. And then go ahead and call this one Vox Verb. Boom. So now everything is all linked together. You can color code, you can do all kinds of things. But what I need to do is I need to now move this space designer and make sure that this is linked into the channel. So we drop it over here and say, all right, I need to be going to the lead Vox as my output. There's that one. So now they're both linked in here to the stereo out. Space designer's there, ready to send some signal. So let's start some playback and play with some dials.
Kandahar Province, southern Afghanistan, the birthplace of the Taliban. It's 54,000 square kilometers.
Weird, not doing anything. So what was missed? I wonder. Go back to that space designer and look what happened. I didn't change my settings here, so it's only giving 30% wet and a bunch of dry. So as I'm bringing it up, all I'm doing is increasing the volume. So this is where we need to reverse by bringing the dry all the way down, and let's go 100% up on the wet. Now, let's bring that dial back and kind of salt it to taste and see what happens.
Kandahar Province, southern Afghanistan, the birthplace of the Taliban. It's 54,000 square kilometers.
There's that reverb. So this part right here is just a little too high. So let's bring that down to about midpoint, bring this up again.
Kandahar Province, southern Afghanistan, the birthplace of the Taliban. It's 54,000 square kilometers of brutal insurgency, conflicting agendas.
Bingo. There's my reverb. Now I have way more control over how I'm applying that. So on the one hand, I could use the send group over here and increase it. Or if I've got like a bunch of channels together and I go, man, I want all the channels to have a little bit more reverb. Now I've got a lever here that I can pull up and down to increase or decrease that volume. So this is how we call, and this is why we call it mixing. We're actually mixing all of these signals together to make something new and complete. Since we're linking everything to the narration sub, if I'm working with other instrument groups and I just don't want to hear the vocals, I don't have to go through and like click every single thing. Check this out.
Kandahar Province, southern Afghanistan.
I just hit one button and I just muted the whole group.
It's 54,000 square kilometers.
So then when you get to a final mix, then you can work on just subgroups. We'll get to all that stuff later. Just for now, I just wanted to show you, yeah, you can absolutely just put it right on the channel. Another great way to do it is actually create a subgroup, create an aux or a bus, whatever you want to call them, and be able to send them into one spot so everything's linked together. It's also worth noting that if I'm using a reverb of 1, I'm not mixing it in with any other channels that's not related. So any vocal verb that I come up with is only vocals. Any drum reverb I come up with is only drums. Even if it is a great sounding reverb and I want to apply it to more things, I will just create additional subgroups or auxes or buses to be able to facilitate that. I never mix, so that way I always have that power of the mute. So hopefully that was super helpful. There's a lot of different ways to do things here. I'm just showing you my method, things that have worked out for me in the past, things that I've learned along the way through education, through experience. Always happy to help you guys with your project. So really do appreciate you tuning in. If you have any questions, you need anything, please feel free to like, subscribe, send me a message, shoot me an email, give me a call, 260-217-2692. You can also hit me up on my website, morningcalmstudios.com. Let me know. Always happy to help. And just remember, if you keep doing it, if you keep trying, if you keep learning, you will be successful. The key is to never stop. Thanks for watching. See you soon.